Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where we simplify cybersecurity and compliance for you. Today's agenda is understanding ISO 27001 Clause 5, which is leadership. We will also discuss the sub-clauses of Clause 5 as the mandatory documents which are required to satisfy Clause 5 of ISO 27001. So let's dive into it. Clause 5, leadership. This clause is all about how top management will lead the information security management system in the organization. Now, this clause 5 is being divided into three subclauses. First one, leadership and commitment. Second is all about policy. And the third one is about organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities, which is 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. Clause 5.1, leadership and commitment. Subclause 5.1, it's all about showing how leadership can demonstrate their commitment with respect to information security management system implementation. See, in an organization, right, you can say that, okay, we are going to implement ISMS in my organization, but is just saying enough? Clause 5.1, leadership and commitment, it talks about how top management can demonstrate that they are giving their full support in implementing information security management system. See, it's not easy to implement information security management system. I'll tell you why. First of all, cost. Implementing ISMS requires cost. Who will do the budgeting, right? And cost is one of the main thing, but apart from that, there are many other things. Let's get into all these A to H items, what this subclause 5.1 talks about. Ensuring the information security policy and information objectives. Okay, so information policy and information objectives are established and are compatible with the strategic direction of the organization. What this means is the top management should make sure that there is information security management policy in place. What the policy should contain, all those things we'll discuss in subclause 5.2. But in 5.1, it clearly says that the organization management or the top leadership, the executives, should make sure that a policy is defined and also the objectives are well established. And those objectives should not just be random, it should be in alignment with your organization. I'll just give you an example of what exactly I mean by objectives. For example, in my online food delivery app, I'm going to write an objective that I'm going to protect the customer data, the personal payment information, as well as the customer information that has been updated in my website, right? So just mention, just give a description that, okay, we will ensure that the confidentiality, integrity, availability of the data is protected at our end, okay? And the stakeholders, who are the stakeholders? The engineering team, the CTO, the product team, all those people are the stakeholders. Now, how do you measure that this becomes one objective, right? How you're going to protect the customer personal data as well as the payment data. What are your KPIs related to that? You'll make sure that there is no unauthorized access. You'll make sure that the data is encrypted and all you'll have proper access controls in place. So this becomes one of your objectives. You'll also mention what will be the KPIs and you'll also see how you're going to review it. And then after 6 months or maybe every quarter you come and then see, you measure and see, okay, have you met the targets or not? In the same way, if you're having something like secure delivery partner devices, then you make sure that delivery agents are accessing data, location, and use the secure authorized apps. Every delivery partner is using a secure device because using that device, he's going to get access to all the locations as well as the orders. So we need to make sure that the application that we develop is secure. So that becomes one of the objectives. Then who are the relevant stakeholders? Maybe it is your IT team, maybe it is your software development team, the operations team. And then what are the KPIs? 100% delivery of delivery partners use updated apps with security patches. You make sure that regular patches are released. Make sure that you're using the secure SDLC processes. Those becomes your measurement KPIs, and no outages and all those things, right? And then you review it monthly. So like this, you will have to identify what are the security objectives when it comes to your organization. The leadership should identify the objectives which are related to their organization, okay? you prepare a plan how exactly you're going to implement those objectives and how you're going to review them. Having this plan, you can clearly demonstrate, that is the top management can clearly demonstrate that they are serious about ISMS. They have a security policy and they also have an information security objectives which is clearly defined and established in the organization. Second, ensuring that the integration of information security management system requirements into organizational processes. Now see, information security management system requirements, there are many requirements of ISO 27001. If you read the annexure, which I have not discussed right now, but maybe in my next videos, I'll give you a brief about what these annexures are. These annexures are about the requirements, okay, how information security management can be implemented. There are certain requirements. For example, it should have a password policy, or it talks about how exactly your password policy should be implemented, or how you're going to have a secure software development. The top management should make sure that they allocate budgets, they allocate resources. If to implement the technology, you need the budget, right? You know, okay, there are some really good pen test softwares available, right? That is the technology. You need those technology. So the top management should make sure that they provide you the technology, they provide you the people who are skilled enough, they provide you the proper budget so that the organization can implement. That is the support that is required from top leadership. Communicating the importance of effective information security management and confronting to the information security management system requirements. See, say if your team leader says, or if your manager also says that information security is important for the organization, you will listen to him, you'll agree to him. But if the top level executive comes up to you and says, you know what, guys, information security is mandatory for us, we'll have to implement it, then you understand how important it is, because it is coming from the top leadership. So top management must emphasize the importance. Nowadays, you might have seen organization, the top management will release maybe a small video or maybe an email communication saying the importance of cybersecurity in their organization and how they are doing it. Maybe they're implementing certain standards. ISO 27000 is one of those standards. So by sending out these emails, the leadership will show the commitment that yes, we are serious about implementing ISO 27001. Ensuring that the information security management system achieves its intended outcome. How will the top management ensure that information security management system is achieving its intended outcome? By having regular reviews, by having regular meetups, by making sure that the KPIs are met or not. By checking all these things, the top management can ensure that the information security management system is achieving its intended outcome or not. Next, directing and supporting persons to contribute to the effectiveness of information security management system. The management should support the persons and also direct. Now, see, I know that in my organization, I need the vulnerability management. I want a vulnerability scan to be done in my for my application. But I should know, right, to whom to I have to reach to. So the management should, if I reach, the management should provide the right direction. At the same time, it should provide me the support. Supposing there are certain findings that come up in the vulnerability management, and my team is so much overloaded that they don't have time to fix those vulnerabilities. See, this is a real world scenario, right? Let's be practical. So this happens in the real world. So at that time, the management should make sure they give us the ample time, they provide us the right support, they provide us the right direction. This ISO 27001 standard clearly says that the top management should provide the right direction, should provide the support to the people who are working and implementing these information security management system. And along with that, it should also make sure that information security is a continuous process. It is not just you implement and leave it. You should always keep revisiting it, always, that you're always maturing your cybersecurity framework in your organization. How does it do that? Make sure you try to refine them as much as possible, and supporting other relevant management roles to demonstrate their leadership as it applies to their areas of responsibility. So you should also the management should also support different managemental roles to make sure that they also work towards their responsibilities of cybersecurity. Now, if I have to talk in a nutshell what exactly 5.1 is about and how I can demonstrate to the auditors that we are adhering to clause 5.1, make sure you have your objectives documented. Okay, that will be one of the documents that you can show to them, which can demonstrate that leadership is giving their interest in implementing ISMS. You have the review meeting, minutes of meetings. Make sure you have the KPIs defined, a proper budget is allocated, a policy is being defined, and the email communication that goes from the top management specifying the importance of information security management system in the organization. These all will become an artifact for subclause 5.1 during the audit. Clause 5.2, which is policy. Subclause 5.2 emphasizes on the importance of having a policy in any organization. What is a policy? A policy is maybe a set of rules, you can say. It is a set of guidelines or disciplines that an organization must follow. Policies will help in the smooth execution of the organization. And these policies should be appropriate to the organization purpose. Okay, whatever your organization is, it will have some purpose of existence, right? Make sure that is in alignment with the purpose of the organization and provide the framework for setting information security objectives. Okay, if you have not seen my previous video where I talk about the information security objectives, just go back and understand what are the information security objectives. It's very important for an organization to prepare its policy based on the information security objectives of the organization. Now, it should include a commitment to satisfy applicable requirement related to information security. It should include a commitment of continual improvement. So how your organization is going to have continual improvement, how it is going to satisfy all the information security requirements. All this should be included in your security policy. Okay. Like for example, let's understand how exactly a policy looks like. Now, if I have to say what is a policy statement, it would say the organization shall implement network controls to protect the data at rest and data and the network services. Okay. Say this is a very high level statement. Now, if it is going to a topic level, maybe if the same policy then has to be broken down into topic specific policy, for example, network segmentation, then we have to say, okay, DMZ must be implemented for all internet faces devices, internal communication must be segmented by functions, VLAN to separate traffic with ACLs enforcing access control. So these are the policy which is related to the network. Okay, this you cannot have it at a very high level policy. This will be the network specific, or you can say a topic specific policy. Whereas if you're looking at this high level policy document, in any organization, we will have first a high level policy document. Okay, and then in alignment to this high level policy document, we will have topic specific, or maybe you can say department specific policy document. Like we may have a network policy, we may have identity and access management policy, we may have a password management policy. Okay, we may have a clear desk policy, something like that. Okay, a policy first will be at a very high level, and then it will be broken down into topic specific policy. Like this is the example that I've given you. Now, the policy should always be available and it should be documented. It should not be like, the company management is just saying, okay, this is our policy. No, it has to be documented, maybe in some internal portal or a website, maybe a SharePoint, wherever. Make sure that this policy is being documented and it is available. Okay, it has been documented and it is available to everyone working in the organization. Next, the policy must be communicated within the organization to every person working in the organization. This policy has to be communicated. How can it be communicated? Maybe you send out an email to every employee, or maybe you send out a link to this policy where exactly the policy of the organization is being maintained, or maybe in your HR communications, in your new hire joining programs, maybe they will just read out or give you the links where exactly these policies are maintained. So it has to be communicated. There's no point of having a policy and then no one is being aware of, right? So policy are meant to make sure that everyone in the organization is aware of it and they are adhering to it. That is the main reason. Policies are nothing but just like rules, right? What rules the organization is following. So you should know your company policies. Next, it should be available to all the interested parties as appropriate. Means what? Who, say, if I'm running a business of food delivery app or business, then who are my interested parties? My interested parties are my, say, my customers, right? My delivery agents, regulatory bodies. These are all my interested parties. So I should have my policy communicated to them as well, and it should be available for these interested parties whenever they ask for, or even my policy should have all the rules, regulations related to these external parties as well. Not only external, internal, everyone, whoever is associated with my organization should be aware of the policy, and the policy should be available for them as well. Okay, so let's understand that this policy should be a running document. Okay, it should be a sanitized document. That means you should have the owner of the document. Okay, if there's any changes that has been made to these policies, all those changes should be documented. That means it should have a understand that policy is a high level document, and this document should be a living document. What do I mean by living document? I just mean that you should have a owner of this document, you should have an approver who approved this document, and then you should also have the version history. If there are any changes that is happening on the policy, it has to be documented when the change was done, okay, with the date, who made the changes, okay, what changes were made, that has to be documented, and then you give the version like version 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, whatever. Okay, so that is all about policy. Clause 5.3 emphasizes on having the proper roles and responsibilities defined for the people who will be implementing ISMS in your organization. Okay, it just wants to make sure that you have proper roles defined in your organization. For example, you have the IT manager, you have the CISO, you have the CTO, and you have the risk manager defined, you have the business continuity manager. Okay, all these roles are properly defined in your organization so that they are aware of their responsibilities and they can execute those responsibilities of implementing ISMS. I understand in few of the organization where having these many roles is not possible. Maybe they'll have just one role whom they call it as, say, IT manager, or maybe they call it as the CISO, whatever. So that's okay. That's absolutely fine with information with the ISO 27000, as long as you have proper roles and responsibilities defined. Top management shall assign the responsibility and authority. So what this says is, make sure the top management has assigned the responsibility of implementing ISMS and the authority, okay, of implementing the ISMS to certain people in the organization. And those people could be the CTO, CISO, whoever. Okay, make sure that responsibility is being clearly defined and assigned to the people with the right competence. Okay, ensuring that the information security management system conforms to the requirements of this document. So it just says that make sure that the roles, responsibilities, authorities are clearly defined so that you can clearly implement the ISMS in your organization in respect to whatever the requirements are there in the ISMS. Make sure that has been clearly executed. And after the roles, responsibilities are clearly defined, the authorities are clearly defined, this members, they should form maybe a committee, you can say, or a review committee, whatever, or not just define the committee. Who are the member of this committee? Sometimes, you can also take members from different operations of the organization, like maybe someone from the IT, maybe someone from the business analytics, maybe someone from say the finance team, maybe someone from the marketing head. So all these people also are required, okay, because we understand from IT perspective or from the information security perspective, but this has to be implemented in throughout the organization, right? So have someone from these different operations team as well as the skilled people who have knowledge of information security, combine them together, make a committee, okay, and then meet every monthly once or maybe 15 days once, at least at the initial stages when the implementation is happening, you have to make sure that you meet regularly and document the minutes of meeting for these meetings, so that can be used as an artifact when the auditor asks for satisfying subclause 5.3. In a nutshell, subclause 5.3 wants the top management to define proper roles and responsibilities and authorities of the people who are going to implement ISMS, and also make sure that this committee is directly reporting to the top management regarding the progress of the ISMS implementation. Talking about the important documents that are required to satisfy clause 5, leadership and commitment. Just show the objective document, show some email communication from the top management saying that they are supporting the implementation of ISMS. Maybe you can show some minutes from the ISMS review meetings. Policy 5.2 policy, make sure your policy is clearly documented. I already discussed about the hygiene of the document and what exactly the policy should contain and how it has to be communicated. Okay, and 5.3 we just discussed about roles and responsibilities and authorities that should be defined to the people who are implementing the ISMS, and all those things should be documented so that the clear responsibilities and the point of contacts and their metrics are clearly defined so that it helps you in tracking the progress. So this is all about clause 5. What exactly do auditors look to satisfy this clause 5? Okay, first is they want to see your policy document. Okay, and then they want to see, has the policy been communicated to everyone in the organization? Okay, has it been communicated? That is something that they will look for. And how do you give the proof that it has been communicated? Maybe email, right? Or maybe some companies even they embedded this policy in their training programs. If you have those emails, then that is fine. Uh, they also make sure that the acknowledgement has been received from everyone saying this, yes, the training is completed, or maybe the email has been read and it has been acknowledged. So some companies go for this as well. So they will look for some proof related to that, and they'll also look at the hygiene of this policy document. Like they want to see when was the last review of this policy done. I have come across cases where the policy is like 4 or 5 years old and no one has even reviewed it. They also want to make sure that an approver or owner is being assigned to this policy document, and they also will look at the version history. And okay, clause 5 is all about making information security a leadership priority. You know, demonstrating the leadership buying, commitment, and the leadership is driving the ISMS. It clearly says that leadership is the one who will be driving the ISMS, ensures that the top management takes accountability for the effectiveness of the ISMS. Security must be visible in the company's vision and strategic goals. How it can be visible? Through policies, through the high level policies. It sets the tone for security first, starting from the top. When something comes from the top, then you understand the importance. So this is all about clause 5. In my next video, we will be jumping into clause 6. Until then, stay safe, stay secure. Thank you for watching.